Hello everybody. I'm doing a ramble because I can't sleep, and so I'm just gonna ramble. And I have these rambles when I have a lot of stuff in my head that I need to get out. I'll try to keep my voice soft, and I hope I don't forget. But okay, to begin, I kind of have a boyfriend. I mean, you know how it is. You kind of think you might have a boyfriend and then it might not work out. But I don't know, this time, I think it might be, and I wasn't looking. That's the strange thing. I think this time it might, I think this time it will work out. But I'll tell you why. Because you know how you always hear, all my life, they've told me, when you stop looking, that's when it will happen. And I sincerely, this time, I sincerely had decided, I mean, not decided, I had accepted, basically, that I really, this, because other times I've said that, okay, well, that's it, I'm not looking anymore. And I didn't really, like, believe it deep down. Like, there was still that little part of me that was still looking. But this time, I honest to goodness can positively say 100% that I had stopped looking. I said, okay, that's it. I honestly, you know, because of my age and whatever, and I was feeling like, well, you know, I can only do so much to remain sort of attractive. I had kind of said, it wasn't that I was against finding someone, but I had decided, okay, it's really just not realistic anymore. I'm older now, you know, there's a lot more competition from the younger ones. And so I had accepted that even though it would be nice to find someone, I was likely never going to find someone. So I was fine with it. I wasn't even sad anymore. I was like, okay, you know, I can deal with this. I just got to get my own life together now. It actually kind of was very freeing because now that I was no longer thinking that I was going to find someone, I had really started making my own plans for my life, like without thinking about, you know, like moving to here or there, what I was doing, like basing it around potentially finding someone. So I was just living my life, trying to get myself, you know, and I had made some serious plans about, you know, pursuing a little business and finding a real job and stuff. And I was kind of getting my head organized, finally, for like the first time in forever, for my whole life, really. And I left my part-time job because I was like, okay, I cannot live on a part-time job. If I want to really seriously move on and become independent, I need to leave this job and find something else. I had to organize still some things in Argentina. So it was all good. That was the end of March. End of February, I left my part-time job. And, you know, beginning of, you know, mid-February, I left my job. So I was making my plans. I had to go to Argentina to really sort out a kind of a serious matter. And so at the end of February, an old friend called me, an old guy friend, an ex-boyfriend actually, from the 90s that I had seen on Facebook and stuff, on social media, but I had not physically seen since 1997 was the last time I had physically seen him. And, you know, he around that time got married and stuff, so I moved to Miami, and then I eventually got married, so... Okay, so all these years later, we're both divorced. He's been divorced many years. And I've been divorced since 5 years ago. 6 maybe now. You know, separated and divorced. and divorced. And, you know, he called as a friend. He was like, hey, you know, maybe, you know, in the back of his mind, he was thinking, hey, you know, why not call this old girlfriend up or something? I don't know. But, you know, we'd seen each other on Facebook, as I said, so it wasn't like out of the blue completely. But, you know, we'd sent a few emails back and forth, but nothing other than just a friendly hi and kind of updates on our life. So, yeah, so he called on a friendly level, and yeah, we chit-chatted this and that, and I was about to leave for Argentina. So okay, see ya, bye. Okay, I'm leaving for Argentina. So I went to Argentina. That was, wait a minute, that was it in March? Yeah, I think it was in March. The first, you know, I had to go to Argentina twice because it was really kind of a serious thing with the property. And what's sad is, you know, the properties are not that, not, you know, well, that's a whole other thing. It's not even that much money, but to me, it's what little I have left that I'm trying to salvage. Oh, guys, just on a tangent, and I know I always go on tangents, but just do a prenuptial and don't marry someone from a country that doesn't allow prenuptials, which Argentina now does, but at the time I got married, prenuptials were against the law because it, you know, it's a very Catholic country and etc. It's becoming less so, but all right. So anyway, that's just my own thing. Don't lose your head and fall in love, you know, without being, you know, keep some feet on the ground. Keep two of them, because most of us have either 1 or 2 feet, or if you don't have feet, just keep something on the ground. Don't. I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, it's a serious thing, you know. But yeah. Well, if there's one piece of advice that I can leave to young people, men and women, because I think a woman can screw a guy completely over, just like a man can screw a woman completely over. It's equal opportunity screwing over. But when you fall in love, oh my goodness, and when you're young, I know it's hard, but try to keep a piece of you grounded, whatever part you can manage to keep grounded. You know, I didn't listen. People gave me that advice when I was younger, and I didn't listen. So, but I just hope that some of you will listen. Falling in love is so wonderful, especially when you're young, and you forget everything else. But anyway, getting back to my story. So whatever. I went to Argentina, did what I needed to do, and I came back. And we had kind of maintained in touch. I guess our conversation was pleasant, and so at some point, and the timeline is kind of unclear now because it's been all these months later, but at one point he came to Miami for a week, and my parents just happened to be out of town. They had happened to go north, both of them. So he came down here as a friend again, and since my parents weren't home, he stayed here. But still nothing, you know, we were nice to each other, we liked each other, but there was still no romance. But we had a pleasant week with his visit here. We did a little sightseeing. I still hadn't looked for work because I had just gotten back from Argentina, and I wish I could remember the timeline. Probably if I looked through some old texts, I could find the timeline. But, so whatever, nice time. He stayed about probably roughly 6 or 7 days. It wasn't that long. And then he went back. But I guess a little thing sparked while he was here. You know, nothing, you know, romantic yet. But I guess there was just like, after seeing each other, and we both, for our age, we both are looking not too bad. He's in his 60s. You know, he's an older. I've usually been attracted to much older men, actually. At least 5 years, or really better for me, personally, 10 or 15 years has always seemed to be a little bit more attractive to me for whatever reason. I don't know why. I guess it's a little bit of a fatherly, feeling protected kind of thing. But actually, before my marriage, my most serious boyfriend was 2 years younger. But anyway. So then I did a little temping. I still hadn't gotten my, stability. But I did some volunteer work in the area where I bought the little property here in Miami. And, doing my thing. But we remained in touch, throughout the weeks. Let me think. So end of June. Right. I had to go back to Argentina again. I don't remember when he visited the first time, when he came to Miami. But anyway, at some point between probably end of March and April, May, at some point he visited. I can't believe I can't remember. Let me just look that up. Anyway, I'll look it up while I'm talking. So June I went to Argentina at the beginning of July. Let me look here. Oh, and the problem with WhatsApp, let me see if I can do it in text, because WhatsApp, I switched phones, so I can't see the messages when I went. But anyway, definitely early July, I went, July 4th, actually, I remember. I went to where he lives, up north, where I used to, DC area. And there, the romance was sparked. So it was really starting beginning of July, even though we'd been speaking before that and we were kind of getting a little bit romantic over the phone. Because he would call every night, actually. Every night since I came back from Argentina in around, I think it was end of March, he'd been calling every night. And at first I was like, okay, he just wants to talk. But yeah, then it turned out, I guess he was feeling something. And starting beginning of July, we had a little bit of a, I went to visit him finally, up where he lives. And then I came home. I went for about a week in, July 4th. And this is this is where I really realized, wow, he really does care for me, because I was home only about a week and he was telling me, why don't you come back up here again? And he paid for my ticket. So, I mean, it's not the money, but that a man has already just seen you, so it's not like, it was that long, and he was already, because obviously I wasn't going to pay for another ticket. I had paid for the first ticket. It's with money I don't even have, really, because, I mean, use a credit card. But, so that was, to me, showing, wow, and the ticket's not that expensive either, so I went up again. So I went up twice in July. And I came back now thinking, okay, I told him, really, I'll do it because, yeah, I miss you too. We missed each other. But I told him that I really need to get back to Miami after this trip, and I've really got to find a real job now, because, so this is my problem now. I had started making my plans for my life, like really getting serious, and now this thing is throwing me off course again. Because I just got back, I started looking for real work. And now we're talking about me moving up there, because I said, well, he doesn't want to move down here because he has a son still that's not 18. He's getting there, he's close, he's a teenager. So he's got to wait until and I understand, he wants to be near his son until his son is an adult, which makes perfect sense to me. And his son is up there, and his ex-wife is up there. His ex-wife is not likely to let him take his son to live down here. And so it makes perfect sense. It's not that he's being selfish or anything, but so he now he's not pressuring me. I could obviously just continue doing the long distance thing. But he's kind of implying that it would be best if I moved up there if we want some kind of a relationship, and I know how these long distance relationships, they're just too difficult, so that's kind of on the plate now. And all my plans, like I was down here, I was taking some courses, I was going to start substitute teaching, and I was going to help out in the community, and I was maybe going to try to find a real job too. I was thinking substitute teaching in the meantime until I make it. But see, now I'm all messed up again. I'm just like, I mean, sure, a secretary, I could be a secretary up north. I could be a substitute teacher up north. It's not like I have anything really tying me here. I have my parents here that are getting old, but they're still in relatively good health. So now I have to decide. Oh, my gosh. So I'm messed up again. That's why I'm just never going to get my life straightened out. I mean, a part of me is like, okay, if I really form a serious bond and a relationship, which it appears this would be headed that way if I were to. And it's a gentleman I know well, many years. I know his background. I know he's a good person. I know he's a stable person. He's actually retired comfortably, so it's not like he would be living off of me. He has absolutely not that I have much to live off of anymore anyway, but even if I did, he doesn't need me for my money. I mean, and I guess, yeah, he just wants a companion, which is what I want. And of course you want to be a companion with someone that you're relatively attracted to and you feel comfortable with. He's not a 30-something-year-old, like a friend of mine who has flipped for, she's my age, and she flipped for this, like, 35-year-old guy. And I just knew from the beginning, of course it's over by now. It didn't last very long, and it was a mess as far as her emotional part, because she, I guess, fell in love with the guy. And I mean, it's so unrealistic. A 54-year-old woman, or whatever age she is, and a 30-something-year-old man. I believe he was 35 or under. I didn't actually get his exact age, but he's in his 30s. It's obviously usually going to be based on one of two things, which is either sex or money, as far as the guy is concerned. An older woman has a little more experience, is maybe more exciting to him, but he's not going to take the woman as a serious thing. I mean, occasionally it has happened that a young man has fallen in love with a much older woman, but it's usually not the case. Whereas a younger woman falling in love with a much older man, okay, again, it could also be kind of weird. In my case, it's not. In my case, it's because I want stability, and an older man usually provides that. But stability, I don't even mean financially necessarily. I just want someone who's stable himself so that he doesn't mess up my stability. Which is what I feel from this gentleman. He's fine. He's got his life in order. All he wants is a companion, and so he won't be taking too much from me that I'm not able to give. I'm happy to offer companionship because that's what I want too. So, and that's all he'll want. He doesn't expect me to clean his house. Of course, he expects me to be a loving companion. I mean, I also expect that from him. I mean, the expectations are not unreasonable. So I think this could be something that could work for me, from what I've always wanted emotionally. Oh, but then it's kind of making me again take away from any of my own plans, which aren't necessarily plans that maybe would have found me much better situation financially anyway, because obviously a substitute teacher wasn't going to find me any kind of financial stability, but it was going to fulfill me spiritually. And I've already made contact with people from the community that I purchased the property in. I've already made kind of, I guess you could call them friendships. They're not deep, profound friendships because I only just have met many of the people there, but the people that wanted to do good for their community that I felt inspired by, with all the horrible things, the crime and the poverty, you have so many people there that just want allies, to help. And I kind of feel a little bit of a, and of course, since I do also own a property there, I do feel a connection and even an obligation to do something for the community. But now with this, I guess I could still long distance assist, or come back, sometimes to help. But so anyway, that's something I've got to sort out on my own. Nobody can kind of tell me. I mean, sure, advice is always welcome. Any of you who are listening, you'll be more objective probably. But I'm not asking for advice. But if you would like to give advice, I also I welcome that. But don't any of you feel you have to, oh, I've got to help her, But yeah, I mean, opinions are always worth what they are. So, but then all that aside, I'm very happy with him. I like the way he treats me. I like the way he emotionally is supportive. He's not sweeping me off my feet, which is a good thing. I just, I find him attractive. I feel comfortable with him. I'm not head over heels, which is, I like that feeling of feeling somewhat in control of my emotions. Actually, if I were falling head over heels, swept off my feet, I would be more concerned. I would actually auto stop myself, if that's what you call it. I would self censor. It's not even self-censor, but anyway, I would prevent myself from moving forward because I say, no, if I'm head over heels in love and out of control, there's something wrong. That's the one thing I've learned. If it's just too much emotion, there's something wrong. I got to slow down. I've got to, get advice from objective people and listen to their advice this time, like I didn't do when I met my husband. So anyway, all that aside, this is good. I like this feeling that I'm having with this gentleman. And I think he's also not head over heels, but he feels just, it's a more mature kind of love, which I've always heard about. And I always thought to myself, well, of course when I was younger, well, if it's mature and it's controlled and it's all this, then, I mean, how boring. That's not love, I used to think. But it really is. I mean, I'm really experiencing what I've always heard about. It's a mature, realistic thing where there's some need there. Obviously, there's a little bit of neediness. We're both older. We're both alone. It does get kind of lonely. And doors start closing on you as far as finding a companion at this age. They've started closing even for women earlier than for men, and I'm sorry the feminists may not like what I'm saying, and it doesn't mean I'm right, but that's my opinion, that a woman's doors do close earlier than a man's doors. So she should, earlier in life, not in your 20s, I'd say in your 30s, if you're choosing to, get married, have a family. I've said this before, and you probably need to kind of figure that out before you're 40 if you're a woman. If you don't want kids, you have a little more time. But remember, you start to get saggy, you start to get wrinkly, you can only do so much. Whereas men, since women are not as interested in looks, in physical appearance, they get luckier maybe later in life. And they have more time to find a companion, even reproductively. But men too need to be careful, because my friend, the one that I'm talking about up north, I guess I could call him my boyfriend. It's kind of a weird word at my age to say boyfriend, but yeah, he is my boyfriend. He had his first child at I think he was 50 or 51. And so if you're a man and you have baby. You do have more time than a woman to start having kids, but you know, he's now in his mid 60s. He's almost 66, and he has a 14-year-old son, and he says, gosh, I just don't have the energy. You know, 14-year-olds talk back. They don't do what they should. They don't study. You know, teenagers are teenagers. They're going to act the way a normal teenager does, but it's maybe a 40-year-old father could, you know, have a little more energy to deal with it. And my friend is tired. And the kid is there during the school year. He's there on the weekends, but also he's been at his father's house all summer because, you know, his father doesn't have the energy to discipline him like the younger mother does. So he kind of does what he wants at his father. He basically runs the house. And I was there visiting for a week, so I saw it. I mean, the kid, you know, I mean, I remember having stepkids, and they were when they were teens, and you know, and I got tired, and I was still in my 30s and early 40s. So he just gives up, and the kid pretty much does what he wants. I mean, my friend does put his foot down when it gets too out of control. And the child is relatively well behaved as far as, I mean, he talks back. He does talk back, but he's not a physically violent kid. You know how some teens will lose their temper and hit something, or no, this kid talks back like teens do, but he also knows that he can get away with a lot with his father, you know. And he manipulates, and he pushes the buttons, and he does, you know, what teens will do. And my friend eventually will put his foot down, but it's hard. And of course, it's not my place to get involved, you know. I don't, definitely not with a child who's already in his mid-teens. I mean, he's 14, he's almost 15. I'm not going to start disciplining him now. You know, he'll laugh in my face. It's like, who are you? You come into my life. I'm 15 years old, and you're. So as far as that's concerned, I have absolutely no say. You know, the kid's a cute kid. He's whatever, but and that's the other concern, moving in with my friend. I mean, the child lives with his mother. It wasn't like with my stepkids. When I married my husband, the kids, the mother didn't have custody. My husband did. So, but they were young. They were 6, 7, and 8, you know, going on 9. There are 4 of them. They're kind of like close together in age, and they were all young. So at that age, you can kind of step in and start putting, you know, rules and stuff. But no, there's no way I could possibly do it with my friend's kid. So basically the idea is, you know, and then I did ask him about that. I said, how's, you know, your son going to feel? I mean, you know, he's used to things the way they are. His mother had remarried and is now also divorced from the second husband. So it's not like it'll be a shock to him that one of his parents is getting a boyfriend or a girlfriend. But, you know, I think, you know, he's always had his father. He's never had his father seriously involved with another woman. His father dated while he was, you know, young, but he never got involved in a serious move-in situation. So, he'd had 1 or 2 girlfriends, but my boyfriend says, well, you know, I mean, he is getting older. He's got to, you know, reality is reality. If I fall in love with someone and I want to live with someone, that's how it is. And it's not like I would reject, you know, I would let the kid come over whenever he wanted. It's not like I'm going to be one of those new girlfriends that, oh, I don't want your son around. You know, of course, he has more rights than I do to be in his father's house. So, and he's young, and I know he still needs access to his father that's free, that's that he doesn't feel like somebody's trying to block. Because and I don't think my friend would also do that to his own son. So But yeah, obviously I would be completely welcoming to my boyfriend's son coming and going as he pleases. But the boy himself, I could tell, felt a little awkward while I was visiting. You know, he stayed in his room a little more, and he just probably just felt awkward. It's not like it was any deep depression or anything, but he probably just felt awkward. This woman he doesn't know is in the house, and he'd come up to eat, and he'd go back to his room. And my friend says that he's always in there playing on his video games, and he comes out of his room rarely over this summer. I think it's a problem with a lot of these young kids now. They've got the video games, and they're socializing on the internet, and they're not socializing too much outside of the internet. So I don't know how healthy that is either. And this kid is a little bit, he's an awkward kid. He's at the awkward phase. Some kids develop earlier, some later. So this kid is sort of normal development, but he's not completely grown yet, and he's not, he's at an awkward phase in his life. He looks a little awkward, he's kind of still a child. His personality-wise, I don't feel he's as mature as a child that age would have been when I was young, but I think a lot of kids are like that today. They're kind of delayed development because of the video games. They're not going out much. They're not, and maybe parents, maybe a little bit like my friend, or just let them play on there. There are reasons for that too. There's a fear of them going out and getting into trouble. In a sense, a parent can even feel a little bit at peace when, okay, he's in his room, he's playing video games all day, so I know he's not running around doing drugs or, but video games can be addictive too, to some kids are completely addicted. I know this kid is looking kind of like a kid who doesn't, I guess we'll see. Now the school year's going to start, and see, I'm already starting to worry a little bit, and he's not even my kid, but it's a natural concern. He's my boyfriend's child, so he's just he only socializes on the internet. And some kids outgrow it, and then, they start high school, and they start making other friends, and so maybe he'll outgrow it, but I think he needs to be pushed a little bit to not be on the Xbox as much. And also, when he's at his mother's house, his mother doesn't stand for that. I think he doesn't play all week on the Xbox or whatever those games are, not Nintendo. So I don't remember what the point of that part was, but yeah, the maturity level is a little bit delayed, I think, on this child and other kids too. He's not abnormal for his generation, probably, but I don't know what's going to happen to all these kids growing up socializing only on the computer. They don't learn skills like talking and conversation, and maybe at school they do, but I wonder if their conversations are based only around what the games they play, on the boxes. So so there's that. And well, so that's pretty much it for the ramble today. I don't want to go on too many tangents, but I hope I kept my voice down. So I'll be uploading this, and thanks for listening, guys. Talk to you later.